Good evening. Well, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talking Shit. I'm your host, Prince Adam. Today I have a very good show for you guys. We're going to basically be talking about the current climate, everything that's been going on from the riots to, well, you guys know what's happening right now between Corona and also the bullshit we're dealing with. So I wanted to bring somebody who can bring another point of view. As always, I try to surround myself with people who disagree with me because that's how you build, that's how you make change. So on that note, let's keep it short and get right to the bullshit. Introduce you to the founder of Foxcrow. We have my man Joe Charles. Joe, what is?
Yes, I am here. How are you, Adam?
I'm all right. I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm having my drink, my smoke, and I'm all right.
I wish I had. I wish I had some too.
It's all right. It's all right. Just wanted to get into. I mean, we've gone back and forth for I don't know years now, just on Trump alone, and the good, the bad, and I'm glad we finally got a platform where we can actually speak face to face and hopefully, educate some people and each other. So, welcome and thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm very pleased to be here, and we can. I mean, this is how we grow
That's
because
what we do, man.
just
Yeah.
sharing each other's thoughts and how each other thinks is how you grow. Because if I have an assumption of what you think, and it's completely different of what I think and of what you think, that's the problem, right? It's
Okay.
it's like it's like a rumor. It's like setting a rumor, you know. But if we know what each other are thinking, then we can compromise, and that's the whole deal of like coming to a middle ground.
Well, taking that, what you basically just said, and rather than me make assumptions on, what you think and what you believe, and starting a conversation based off of my assumption, let's go with me asking you flat out, what do you believe, based upon our current um, political society, our economics, the riots. What are your thoughts right now on what's going on in America? Let's start with that.
Um, I mean, I think like since Trump's election, uh, race relations or have been deteriorating, have been going astray. But I feel like especially at this time right now, like police brutality, and it's just what. Okay, let me just say what happened to George Floyd is basically like appalling. There are some instances like that we spoke upon, that we went back and forth on, right? And I felt like I felt like I but we were on the same page, but we felt like police needed training, and police were like nervous in their environment or scared in their environment that they're not accustomed to, which lead to certain things. But I mean, right now it's just more than a tragedy. I feel with the George Floyd situation.
I mean, definitely, it's definitely a tragedy. It's not unusual. It's not uncommon, and to be totally honest, I'm not shocked by it. Not in the least. It's not a surprise to me. The fact that we have cameras and people are able to see what's happening does make a difference. I'm sure. I mean, it's the main reason why there's a big of an uproar. But being stopped, beat up, or killed by police is the norm, in my opinion. Granted, there are um, there are great police. I mean, um, my life was saved by state troopers in Wisconsin, and I can say that for that reason. But I've also been pinned down to the floor in Queens just from coming home from school, and I know it's not an uncommon thing. And I saw something from believe her name was Candace Owens. I'm not sure. I'm sure you know who she is. She's the other black Trump supporter. But uh,
I love Candace Owens.
I'm sure you do. Yeah, I personally, I do believe she makes good points at times, but she's also very blind to a lot of shit. And that the beauty of her ignorance is this: we're living in a time where we have privileged black folk, which is great. I love the fact that my sisters are Trump supporters because they don't have to struggle through the same shit that I struggled through when I was a kid. So they see the world a little bit differently. But just because they were raised in West Orange, New Jersey, doesn't mean that just across the bridge in Southside Jamaica, somebody didn't have a cop's knee on their neck. And which kind of brings, well, I'm curious about you, being that you're from Far Rock. You know, I lived in Far Rock many years, and you have history in Far Rock. I've been hit by cars in Far Rock, like the whole 9 yards. And it's not a suburb. You know, it's hood for the most part. So the fact
Yeah.
that you know are from there, it kind of I'm curious in why your support for Trump is so heavy.
Well, I'll say this. A lot of it goes back. It goes back to to or let's say Bill Clinton, Bush, and definitely Bush goes back to Bush. I didn't like Bush, but let me start. Let me start. I was a leftist. Okay,
Okay.
definitely in college, I was going to socialist meetings, and it's not like I was just like straight Republican, or I'm not. I don't even consider myself Republican.
Right. Most don't.
Um, what's that?
Said
What's
most
that?
don't. Said
Oh,
most
I
don't.
mean, I don't consider myself Republican or a Democrat or whatever it is. I just don't like the names of the political party, because
Mhm.
I think that's where a lot of the problems lie. Is just like, oh, you're wearing red and he's wearing blue, and
Right.
it's like, I don't like you because you're wearing red and wearing blue. It's like you're not looking at what the person is thinking.
Mhm.
Instead, once you just see the colors, it's just like, all right, he's my enemy, right? But going back to like going into socialist meetings, and you know some of the points were like I could understand, but they went a little bit too far for me. And as a small
Well, let me ask you.
business,
I mean, being that you, not to cut you off, you went to
uh
socialist meetings. What were your thoughts on socialism?
no, yeah,
Now,
I mean, there were now.
well, now
I
and
mean,
then. I
no,
mean,
well,
what brought the change?
well, then when they were talking, it was just like, okay, all right, let's do something for the people, and I agreed with. But attacking capitalism wasn't my thing, because I was a small business entrepreneurship major,
Mm.
and if I wanted to start a business, and at that time I didn't have a business, but when if I wanted to start a business, you know, how am I expected to grow with your policies, with the socialist policies that are attacking businesses? Do
Do
you
you
understand
believe
what I'm
that
saying? So,
do you believe that there is a balance in between somewhere where it capitalists and socialists can have a common ground? Is there a common ground, or you just think get rid of socialism entirely?
well, the people that were running the groups definitely didn't see capitalism have a common ground with socialism.
That's why I hate groups. I'm gonna be honest. I don't support anybody. I think this anybody who's a part of a group is not nothing wrong. Not an organization, a
Mm.
group. There's a difference. Like the LBGT is a group, in my opinion. They I don't agree with a lot of things that they push. Now I have nothing against lesbians, gays, bis, trans, whatever you are. I just have a problem with people pushing their beliefs on others based upon your group. Same
Mm.
thing with some people in Black Lives Matter. You know, I definitely stand for what they stand for. I definitely, to some degree. However, nothing should be forced onto anybody. I think people have the right to not like you, and that should be okay. It should be
Mm-hmm.
okay to not be liked by somebody else. That being said, if um if you have blinders on based upon your beliefs or the group you're with, whether it's conservative, Republican, Democrat, if you have blinders on, they can that group can give you blinders, such as when Trump fucks up. Well, if you're part of that group, you defend his bullshit. I think it was Trevor Noah. No, I know it was Trevor Noah who said, I'm paraphrasing, we should treat politics like we do sports teams, where I'm a Giants fan, diehard Giant. But if Eli Manning fucks up, I say get rid of Eli. You're fucking up the Giants. You know what I mean? But with
I am
with,
like
with
that. I'm like
but
that.
with politics, if you're a Trump supporter and Trump fucks up, rather than scold him, we start saying, well, what about when Obama did it? Or what about when this person did it? Why are you not mad then? Oh, a cop is killing a black person. Well, why aren't you mad when blacks kill blacks? Like, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be socialist, capitalist, left or right, Sith or Jedi. You know what I mean? There's balance in between somewhere. We can come to some common ground and say, you know what? Yes, I like Obama. Yes, I voted for Obama. I thought he was the best choice at the time. And our current state, I wish he was still here. But that doesn't mean I can't say that, Obama did more for other people than people who look like him. Doesn't mean he's a bad president. Doesn't mean he's a bad president. Just because he didn't do everything I wanted. The
Well,
president's
I
job
voted.
is
I
to
voted
lead.
for Obama 12. I voted for Obama too. So, I mean, both terms, and that was the first time
Right.
I voted. So
Right.
at that time I wasn't like politically awakened. How do you call that? The way they say it, but I wasn't
Right.
politically awakened. It was just like, all right,
My
Democrats are
problem with
for
not
Democrats
to
are
cut
for.
you off. My
Uh,
problem with people being woke is sometimes you need to take a nap. You don't make your best decisions when you're tired. Go to sleep for a little bit. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. We can take a second and realize that yes, um, you voted for Obama because just because you voted for him then doesn't mean you were wrong at the time. You might have just saw that in your life he was the best choice. Now, if you feel that Trump's the
well,
best choice for you now, sorry, I don't want to speak for you. Explain.
not his best choice, but I think like since my parents are immigrants and they came into the '60s, and basically at that time it was just like vote Democrat. So it kind of like passed down to me. And all right, Republicans are bad and they're racist, and Democrats are for black people, and that's it. And they look out for black people. And I didn't know anything about policies, nothing about policies. And basically, it was Obamacare that kind of got me because at the time I was working at the place I was working at. I don't know if I can say it. Um,
Sure. Shit.
yeah, I was working at Michael Kors, and
Okay.
at that time I didn't have health care. So when I did my tax return, they took out money out of my tax return for not having health care. And I was like, what's this? This is not
Fair.
yeah, it's not
Right.
constitutional. You know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
like, and then they told me next time it'll be $1,000.
Mm.
Now, one of the reasons why I got laid off was because, or all eight of us got laid off was because our pay was less than our healthcare insurance.
Mm. Damn.
You understand? So why were they paying us so much in healthcare? It was like basically doubling our salary in healthcare because Obamacare basically forced every company to provide healthcare for
Oh, yeah.
all of their employees.
Damn. Damn. That's fucked
You
up. I'm gonna be
understand?
honest with you. When I worked at Michael Kors too, as you know, and luckily for me, it was way before all that bullshit started. And Obamacare to me was a great idea in theory, poorly executed. Um, Theoretically, yes. Just like everything else, young people pay for the old people to live. So I get it. The penalty shouldn't have been a penalty. It should have just been a charge, so to speak. And if you're gonna say that, okay, look, just like we have FICA and all other bullshit that comes out of our check, here's a charge for a flat rate based upon your pay scale. It's not gonna shouldn't go up or down depending on or no other fees. Let's say, all right, you pay $25 a week towards healthcare so that it can be free for all or whatever the fuck their plans was supposed to be. That would have made more sense. But it's harder to do.
Well,
And it is I'm not gonna act like I can solve fucking healthcare, but it was definitely executed poorly.
yeah,
However,
one of the issues. Oh, real quick. One of the
sure, sure.
issues of that was that the insurance companies got what do you call that? Green happy. It's like
Mm-hmm.
let's say if I gave you a choice of three separate plans, you could pick the low, the medium, or the high. Now, if I'm
Right,
not giving you a choice, we're just going to give you the high,
right, right.
and you have no choice but to pay the high. And that's what literally happened. Like the prices went up because you were forced to pay that
Definitely.
instead of just the low.
So, what do you believe Trump offered to counteract that?
Well, doing some research, like going back, watching his like interviews in 1986,
Right.
he's been talking about the same thing. He's been constant, you know, been consistent saying the same thing about the bad trade deals, foreign countries eating our lunch,
Mhm.
um, and just basically jobs, like you said, you know.
Well,
And I
let me.
think I think I think a strong economy fixes a lot of problems. Just period. Just money fixes a lot of problems.
Well, here's my argument with that. Based upon what you just said, you would be a better president than Trump. Now, granted, you probably might have given the same amount of. What I mean is, he said the problem. Granted, we know that healthcare is a problem. We know that it needs to be fixed. We need to figure something out. And him having a problem with the current administration or whatever administration he had a problem with at the time is great. But he hasn't offered any solutions that, outside of saying, "Well, he's bad. I'm good." What's good about you? Oh, we're gonna have a beautiful plan. It's gonna be great. You're gonna love it. Okay, well, what is it? Because from what I'm
Oh,
seeing,
the healthcare plan.
yeah, sure.
The
What is it?
healthcare plan.
Yes.
Well, one of them is having a pool.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's by Rand Paul, because and is it Rand Paul? I believe it's Rand Paul. It's like having a pool of
Mm-hmm.
just like everyone pays, and it's going to one large I guess, what do you call that, account, or paying towards healthcare. So if you're not sick,
Mm-hmm.
then you just keep paying, and that's it. I mean, once you get sick,
So
then
what do you say to the kid who's working at Michael Kors now, who isn't sick, doesn't have health care? He looks at his check and he's saying, "Why the fuck is my money going to a pool? Fuck Trump."
no, but it's less. It'll be less,
Less. I
much
mean,
less.
yeah, I'm sure it'd be less, and I don't have a problem with less. That's great. I'm just saying the issue that we're having is most of the people who worked, like you said yourself, at the time you weren't woke, you weren't paying attention to what was going on. So when you saw that deduction, you didn't know why it was. You just said, "Who the fuck is this? And why are they taking more? And why are they threatening me to take even more from me?" But had you been educated on why that was happening, you probably would have just got healthcare. Which would have been a whole lot cheaper. You see what I mean?
Oh
But
yeah,
it's
but
hard. It's hard to educate. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
but Trump's choice is basically there is no mandate. There's no
Hmm.
mandate to pay to the government, and if you don't have it, there's no fee. I mean, it's on you. You have it, you
Okay.
have it, great. You don't have it, there's no mandate.
Okay. I do believe that healthcare is one of our biggest issues in this country, and honestly, nobody's got it right. Obama didn't get it perfect. Trump hasn't gotten it perfect, and I can't base my leadership. Um, I can't base my leadership off of off of healthcare at this point,
You know,
only
you know,
because
you
it's
know
a
what my
fucking crap.
you know what my solution is?
I'm all
One of my
ears.
solution is
Hmm.
free capital market. Government,
Okay.
get the hell out of the way.
Okay.
Government,
Explain.
get the hell out of the way.
Explain.
Why is the government making these rules for healthcare?
Right.
Why? I mean,
Ha-
it,
Have you
it's
voted for
it's it's
somebody
it's.
who believes that?
Excuse me,
Have you voted for somebody who believes that?
man. Listen, the way that is going on. The reason why that's going on right now is because, of course, lobbyists or whatever it is, they're getting
Okay.
paid by healthcare companies or pharmaceutical companies to push certain laws for them to make money,
Sure.
right?
So when
Because
Trump
if
says
they're
his,
if they're
so
what's
that's what I
that?
mean. Once again, when I say that healthcare is, and I want to wrap up the healthcare idea only because I think we have an agreement that the system's flawed. The whole healthcare system is flawed, and I don't know who has the answers. What I do know is knowledge of what's happening is key to it. I mean, at least you should know what you're paying for. Like in your situation, you didn't know. In my situation, I didn't know
Yeah,
at first. So they need to be clearer on what they're trying to do. And I don't believe Trump has been clear at all. But at the same time, I can speak to somebody like you or another Trump supporter who believes that um he's making efforts, which that's like I said, I think it's a crapshoot. I really do. That being said, since I can't focus on the issue of healthcare in choosing my president, I focus on issues that affect me more directly, which in this case is police brutality. Coming back to George Floyd and Black Lives Matter, the Black Lives Matter movement, and just trying to get understanding of the people who are trying to fight for me, in my opinion. And that's who I'm looking at. So, what's your opinion on Black Lives Matter? Let's start with that. The movement in a whole.
I think the movement itself is it's a good movement. It's a great movement, but I believe the underlying like factors or let's say, what can you say a word for that, motive, the underlying motive is not what it is.
What do you think the underlying motive is?
The underlying motive to me is to create chaos. Do you understand? Well, because a lot of people don't understand, like, or probably don't know, like, their whole motive is they don't like corporations, or they feel like, you know, black men are being gunned down and everything else. But we have to look at the numbers, right?
Have you
And
spoken to anybody from the Black Lives Matter movement?
excuse me,
Have you ever spoke to anybody involved with the movement itself?
not really, not really. I basically just look at what their goals are on their website is.
Well, I'm going to say this. I don't know about clickbait and website, what their website says. I spoke to people who are, said they were from the movement. I mean, I've traveled the country. You've traveled, I'm sure. And I do believe that, once again, you have to interact with people. I spoke to people from the LGBT movements, and I try to understand what's your target? What are you trying to accomplish? And everyone that I've spoke to said to me that their underlying motive is to stop police brutality. or the brutality of black men in this country from anybody. And I support that idea. I'm not saying I support the movement, but I support that idea. And I do believe that, granted, politics get in the way and they try to label them as a terrorist group, which I think they're definitely not. But I won't go as far as to say that they're a peaceful group, because I don't think peaceful transition of power, nothing in this country has ever changed peacefully. Nothing
Oh, but let
whatsoever.
me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there. I'm not talking about, the people who generally feel that way. Of course,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely against police brutality. There's no one you pick up out of the street that would say, what Chauvin did, do you liked it? Unless you're like completely cuckoo, right? Or
Yeah.
like no one likes police
But
brutality.
but
I don't like
Candace
police
Owens,
brutality.
not to
I
play,
grew up in stop and frisk, so I understand that, right? But
as did I. But
but
Candace Owens, not to cut you out, and I will let you get back to it. Candace Owens, she did say she disagrees with what Chauvin did, but what she did what she did do is what a lot of Fox News or um right fucking brainwashed people. I'm going as far as to say she's brainwashed, or not even brainwashed. She knows what she's doing. She's using it for financial gain. What she did was she tried to criminalize the man who was murdered. Now, granted, was he a criminal in his past or whatever he did? Sure. What does it have to do with him being murdered? Now, she's saying she doesn't want to make him a martyr and we shouldn't be wearing shirts with his face on it. At the end of the day, shit, Malcolm X was a fucking criminal. I'm not saying that George Floyd was going to turn into Malcolm or he was going to change and become a better person. But regardless, his lifestyle in his past has nothing to do with him dying unjustly just because that cop felt he could do it. And that's why I disagree with a lot of things she says. And don't be wrong, she makes valid points about black people and how we need to. I'm gonna go one further. I'm gonna say something that um, pisses people off sometimes. And I gotta be careful how I word this because everybody won't understand what I'm saying. Kanye West is gone at times, but he made a statement about slavery being a choice, and people went fucking nuts. And his statement was ignorant because he didn't, in my opinion, he didn't really know what he was saying. He was saying it as if they had a choice. Not sorry, as they had a choice, as if it was something that could be. Well, as far as I'm understanding, what I believe is yes, everybody has choices. Slavery technically was a choice. We've seen Black Panther at the end where he said, um, "Bury me in the ocean with my ancestors who believed death was better than bondage." The fact is, if the first 50 slave ships that came to America, quote unquote, if every slave said, "Nah, I'm willing to die for what I believe in," they'd stop going to Africa. They had a choice between slavery or death, which is a fucked up choice to have. And I can say yes, sure. If they gave me that choice, kill me. But if they put a gun if you put a gun to my son's head and said, "Be a slave or I'm going to kill him," I might be a slave. So it was a fucked up choice, but it was a choice nevertheless. So there is a common ground that if we actually listen to people rather than make them fucking um, um, headlines. Oh, Kanye West doesn't like black people because he said this, that, and the third. Candace Owens is a coon. Oh, well, Donald Trump is a racist. We'll leave that for another day. But
do
certain,
you want me? Can I defend what Kanye West meant by that, or how I
well, I mean,
felt how he meant by that?
sure, sure,
I felt that he meant by that is not a physical sense, right?
okay. What do you mean?
You can be enslaved physically, or you can be enslaved mentally,
Yeah, but
right?
I don't like, I don't.
Hold on. If
Sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
you're free, right now to pick up a book, yeah, and read the book. You're free right now to go out and exercise. You're free right now to eat what you want to eat, right? And what we see is that we're making bad choices, and the bad choices is keeping us where we are.